Hello and welcome to the Father and Son Pastime Podcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin. How are you?
That's my dad. Dad, we are talking about the 2021 season today. Not a draft, which is always good, but we'll still have a lot of rules. I know people love it. I love the rules at home, but we're going to talk about each team's underrated player this year. We really want, we talk about ourselves doing the Hall of Very Good often. We bring out the non-Hall of Famers to light. We give them a chance to kind of really go over their careers a lot. We're really picking up a lot of maybe some stars in the making here, or people that, because they're on teams that have 4 or 5 all-stars, that don't get enough credit. So there are rules, like I said. First one is you couldn't have been an all-star this year. You're not really underrated if you're an all-star, in our opinion. So not on the 2021 all-star team. And you can't also have been like a perennial all-star and just had like an off year this year. I think Giancarlo Stanton didn't make the all-star team. He didn't really have an off year, but Giancarlo Stanton is sort of in that perennial all-star, maybe Hall of Fame caliber voting. We're not looking to talk about those guys. Those guys get talked about enough. We're really trying to bring to light those guys that don't get their chance on ESPN or MLB Network or something like that. A few other things. You have to obviously have played a majority of the year for like your team. For position players, we're looking at 100-plus games. Or pitchers 25-plus games, relievers or starters. It just kind of blends in for us. So a difference maker, but underrated, and now we get to bring attention to them. We're both going to choose one person per team. If it's the same person, great. Like I said, it's not a draft. So, for example, when we talk about the Red Sox, we're probably going to have the same name when we talk about the Red Sox. Maybe some other teams will have 2 different, which is great because we can bring even more names to the viewers' and fans' attention. Basically, people you should look out for in the seasons to come.
Or have real team-oriented guys that help their team day in and day out, advance the runner, play good defense, steal a base, those type of things of the nuances of baseball.
Yeah. Dad, let's start in the West. We're an East Coast kind of, give a little bias because we're out here in Maryland, but let's start in the West Coast. Let's start in the NL as well, if that's okay by you.
Sure.
Let's just start with the Dodgers. The Western team that went the farthest in the playoffs, I guess. Not the truly best record, but really a good record. Dad, who is your most underrated player on the Dodgers?
Chris Taylor.
Chris Taylor. Wasn't Chris Taylor an all-star this year?
I don't think so.
I thought he was. Let me check that. But talk about Chris Taylor anyways, because I love him.
I think he's multi-positional. He helped out with, him and Kike were great Dodgers and filled in gaps where they had it, outfield, infield, whatever. And again, just a great situational hitter, had occasional power. I just think of all the superstars on the Dodgers, he really helped that lineup.
Chris Taylor was an all-star this year. So you're right. He's probably perennially going to be an all-star from here on out, especially the contract he's going to get signed. But we're looking for not 2021 all-stars. I'll go, and if you want to mimic it, you certainly can. I have 3 options.
Okay.
But I'm going to go with Will Smith.
That was my second choice.
So we'll go with Will Smith together.
Yes.
So, young catcher, 25 home runs, 75 RBIs, give or take. I don't know exact, but that's just kind of what I wrote down. Phenomenal catcher. I mean, it's been probably since Russell Martin, since the Dodgers have had a reliable catcher, and he's going to hopefully be there for long term. We talk about 4 or 5 other people probably before we talk about their catching at Will Smith with all their contracts. They have superstars and Hall of Famers on that team. Will Smith 100% deserves a mention because he is a fantastic catcher defensively, offensively clearly backs up as well. And I don't know why he's not an all-star. Maybe with Posey retiring, this guy's he is the best catcher in the West. And I think he'll get his due next year.
Clutch hitter too.
Yes, fully agree with that.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Giants. Unless you want to talk about any more on the Dodgers.
No.
I will say, be on the lookout for Joe Kelly as a free agent. 45 games this year, under 3.0 ERA. Fantastic setup man or 7th inning guy. Will make a fantastic bullpen piece. Hint, hint, Boston. But he's a fun personality. Like him a lot. The Giants, first person that came to my mind, Dad, was Brennan Belt. But because of injuries, he didn't even play 100 games. So he's not on our list. My pick, Dad, is Tyler Rogers.
Okay.
Tyler Rogers is a reliever here. He's the only reliever in Major League Baseball that threw 80 games. He threw half the season. Talk about that. And 7 wins under a 2.0 ERA. Or like right on that cusp. Phenomenal reliever. He makes a great setup guy to Jake Mcgee. One of the Giants lost all their starting pitchers basically this year. Their bullpen, however, is extremely strong and coming back. They'll put a lot of money in the starters, but their bullpen is really solid, and they could still, even without Posey, make another playoff run.
Okay. I had two that kind of like struck my fancy. Brandon Crawford and Mike Ustremski.
I think Crawford, for me, I think was more of a perennial all-star. When I think of Crawford, I think of the Gold Glover. So I think him and Posey and even Belt get too much attention already.
Yeah, but I always thought he's an extremely underrated player.
He was an all-star this year, Dad. You're 2 for 2.
All right, well, Mike Ustremski then.
So I'm saying, I don't think you can call these people underrated when it's the first names you think of when you think of the Giants is Crawford or Posey. Taylor's a fair pick, and if he didn't become the all-star, that would have been mine as well. And you're right, Ustremski wasn't an all-star this year. That's a good pick. He's coming off an MVP caliber year, which is probably why I didn't want to bring attention to him. 25 home runs, 71 RBIs, but batted only .224. Yes. Okay. Hey, again, it's not a draft. We were just talking about great guys. I think Yaz never gets back to that 2020 form, but I think Tyler Rogers stays dominant and will become an all-star next year.
Okay.
Padres, Dad, who do you have for San Diego?
Jake Chenoweth.
Oh, I like Cronenworth. It's Cronenworth.
Okay.
Yeah. Although I think Jake Cronenworth got his first all-star nod this
No
year.
way.
I really think I don't know what you're looking at anymore. Yeah, he was an all-star this year.
Holy
and he was second
cow.
out for run of the year. I love Jake Cronenworth. I'll go. I will go with Joe Musgrove. So Joe Musgrove threw a no-hitter this year. Had 200 strikeouts, one of the top in the league. About a 3.0 ERA. But my big kicker here, Dad, and I'm going to talk about this as we move forward, is he was only $4 million for the Padres. You look at the money they spent with Snell and Darvish, who really had pretty bad seasons. Yeah. This guy was your best starting pitcher on the team. So, again, hopefully they get rid of Snell or Darvish, or even both in the offseason, and Musgrove could become possible ace of that staff. I have high ambitions for him.
Yeah.
So that's that. There's a few others. If you want, there's Craig Stammen, who's coming back, great reliever, and Nabil Chrismat, who was born on Christmas. Either one of those guys also deserve attention too. But Jake Cronenworth, I love him, but my pick was Joe Musgrove.
Okay. Adam Frazier was kind of getting there, but I know
he didn't play
bats.
100 games.
Right.
He didn't play 100
but
games.
Think about it, an underrated player.
I think they'll trade him in the offseason too. But we'll get to our postseason predictions in another podcast. So who's your pick? Joe Musgrove or Stammen, Nabil Christmas?
I like Musgrove.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was a great trade. They made a lot of trades in the offseason, and I really think that he was one of the great trades they made. They made some poor ones, and I think there's going to be changes this offseason as well.
Yes.
Because they were right in the thick of the race and just fell.
I think the West will be now challenging, and that will again, I don't want to get too far into it. I want to stay focused on the podcast, but I'm excited to talk about the West when that time comes. Dad, let's go to your Rockies. Let's see if you go 4 for 4 with All-Stars this year.
Oh, and Charlie Blackmon.
See, I think Charlie Blackmon's a perennial All-Star.
No way.
I would have called him a perennial All-Star. I mean, he's played for 10 years. He's been an All-Star 4 times.
Right, but not last year.
Not last year. I think that's not what the point of this podcast was about. I'm talking C.J. Crone. C.J. Crone, best season of his entire career. He finally figured it out. He's bounced around with a few teams. The Rockies, and they actually signed him some extensions. He was going to be a free agent this year. So 30 home runs, 90 RBIs. And again, another kicker, only played for $1 million. What a steal for the Rockies.
When he was with the Angels, was he released? Or what?
I think he got DFA'd.
Okay.
And that was sort of like the Pujols. And now this, their first baseman, Welsh, Jared Walsh, is fantastic coming up. They got Brandon Marsh again. Where I want to go deep into the team's future, I really want to talk about 2021 here and now. Ryan McMahon was their team leader in WAR, so if you'd rather go with him, I understand. And he's a very consistent player and should be noticed as well. But CJ Crone, I think, has my nod there. I wish he was a Red Sox. So again, you're still going to be happy with Blackmon here?
I do, because I think that he's...
Sound off if a 4-time All-Star in 9 seasons, a perennial All-Star, but call it what you will. He's just too highly paid for me.
Well, I don't think that he gets the respect he deserves in the National League. That's where I'm coming from.
I think he's overrated. I think if there's a team overrated draft, it's Charlie
Wow.
Blackmon. And I think there's a reason he didn't make the All-Star team. He got moved out of center field this year too, Dad. His season WAR was a 1.0, aka replaceable.
Okay.
13 home runs, only batted .270. Very average.
Okay.
The Diamondbacks. There's two options here. One is this is Kettle Marte. He's not an option. He didn't play 100 games. He's fantastic. People do need to watch him. But David Peralta is my pick for the D-backs. My note to him is someone notice this guy. He's been with the Diamondbacks for a long time. He's a consistent triples leader. He tied, I believe, Ohtani for triples this season with 8. Who still hits triples? David Peralta is truly fantastic. Little corner outfielder. Don't know if the Diamondbacks will trade him this offseason, but really undervalued and underrated player.
Who's your second pick?
Pavin Smith. Not a starter. I thought he was a Rookie of the Year candidate. He's like a first base, right field. He probably will be their DH if the NL gets the DH next year. Very young, though, so I wanted it to David Peralta, who's like 31, and Pavin's like 24.
I went Peralta as well.
All right.
He'd be a great fit for a lot of teams that need a solid left fielder, and I think he will get traded.
The NL West will be quite disparate with their standings. Couple 100-plus win teams, almost like this year, in my opinion, and just the Rockies and Diamondbacks bottoming out. Let's talk Central.
Haha.
Let's wait on the Cubs because I think actually they're kind of easy. The NL Central, Dad. I'm going to start with the Brewers. Underrated for them. I'm torn between two players. I'm going to actually lean offense here. Aviso Garcia. He's a free agent. 30 home runs, 90 RBIs. Finally kind of figured it out as well. Kind of like a CJ Crone story. He's always had pop, but he's had a high strikeout counter or a low average. And I think he's figured it out also defensively. He was a home run leader on this team. This is Christian Yelich's team. Mm-hmm. This is not JBJ is a big power hitter, but JBJ is on this team. Willie Adames is now on this team. Aviso Garcia was their offensive juggernaut, and obviously when it came to the playoffs, they didn't have any offense. Look for him to get re-signed in the offseason. Dad, who's your pick?
I had Willie Adames.
So Willie Adames played 99 games. For
No
them.
way.
Yeah, I double-checked that.
He got traded beginning of the year.
He got traded in mid-May.
Oh, my.
Yeah, plus, there's people that sit out. Other option was Devin Williams, because I think he might get traded. I think Josh Hader might get traded, and he'll become the starter. 99 games with Milwaukee.
Unbelievable.
I'm killing it with facts. You win drafts, but I'll win the research.
Okay.
With not having Adames, who's your pick?
Who?
Aviso or Devin Williams?
I want to go bullpen.
Devin
Who's the two setup guys for
Devin Williams and then Suter?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, Williams.
Devin
He
Williams
had a great ERA.
Yeah, that was last year. He had a great ERA. He still had a good ERA this year, but he went 8-2, 87 strikeouts and only 54 innings.
Yeah.
If he didn't punch a wall like a dumbass, he could have probably helped the Brewers.
Okay.
Talk about the Cardinals, Dad. I'm so excited to talk about the Cardinals.
Me too. I got two.
In probably a week or so when we look at the offseason outlook. My pick by far is Tommy Edmond. Official Gold Glove winner. Was a doubles leader. He's a stolen base threat. He's a utility option. If they want to think about getting a second baseman, Tommy probably could play shortstop. I don't think they should do that. I think they should go get a shortstop. But Tommy can play third base as well. He reminds me of a Ben Zobrist. And I really like Tommy Edmond. They got great talent on that team, great defense. Look for them to win the NL Central next year. But Tommy Edmond is my pick by a mile.
I had two, Harrison Bader and Dylan Carlson.
You're the outfielders. Okay.
Yeah.
Why them over Tyler O'Neill?
Bader is a hell of a center fielder. Have you seen him play?
Yeah, I like Tyler O'Neill a little bit more.
Okay.
But I mean, Bader got his Gold Glove. He played 103 games, just got in there.
And Dylan Carlson's a great player too.
Yeah, I'm more on the young Tyler O'Neill side, but Dylan Carlson, great year, 18 home runs, third in Rookie of the Year category too.
There you go. There you go. I'm coming back.
Reds. This is an easy one. You got to give it to the Rookie of the Year, Jonathan India. 3.9 WARs. Obviously, his first year. He's only 24 years old.
Yeah, he was a good player.
Otto's only probably got a couple years left, but that side of the infield Votto and India set for a couple more years.
Yeah. I had Jesse Winkler in there. He had a really good. I think he had about 30 home runs from what I remember.
I think Jesse was an all-star.
I don't know about that because I think
Jesse was an all-star.
Okay.
You got to stop doubting me. If they're not on my list, they were an all-star.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. But I think he, he's a very strong part of that lineup. I think he hits behind Votto.
Yeah, he's a good player, but he's no Jonathan India. Tyler Mahle was my other pick. 13-6, 5.0 WAR, just a little under Wade Miley, who should have been higher in the Cy Young voting, and now he's a Chicago Cub. So Reds undervalued him. Cubs, I hope they don't. He's a fantastic player. Soft tossing, not throwing 99, but he gets ground outs.
Yes, and in Wrigley he'll do very well.
Yes, he will. Dad, let's keep talking about Wrigley. Talk about the Cubs. Really, you have two options here. Are you picking Ian Happ or Patrick Wisdom?
Neither. Rafael Ortega played 103 games.
Center fielder.
Yes, great part of that team. Finally, the Cubs got a leadoff hitter, and he did extremely well. Cubs didn't have a leadoff hitter since Fowler left. He filled that gap, stole bases, great solid defense. What a great player he was. They picked him up as a minor league free agent.
My pick's Ian Happ. Shout out to the compound. He's a podcast guy. 25 home runs, 60 RBIs, only 26 years old. I like Ian Happ's personality, so I think that contributes to it too. Patrick Wisdom, I don't know how long he'll be in that level of good. I think people will figure him out.
Ex-Cardinal, by the way.
So there's no room for him in St. Louis. So we'll see. I hope both have really great years, but I think Patrick Wisdom will find himself more in a sophomore slump than Ian Happ.
Yeah, but I think I got you on that one. You didn't have the Ortega in there.
Ortega just cleared the 100 thing, so I'd rather go with the two. If you're a Cubs fan, you're a Happ or a Wisdom fan, not an Ortega fan.
Ooh.
Pirates, I have two, and I can't decide between the two because they are connected. But Dad, I'll let you go first.
I got Brian Reynolds.
Brian Reynolds was an All-Star.
Are you sure?
I've been right so far.
I think Frazier was the All-Star.
No.
No?
I don't think Frazier was your All-Star. Brian Reynolds was your All-Star.
Son of a gun.
Yeah. I'll
go with the catcher, Stallings.
Jacob Stallings?
Yes.
He's decent.
Yes.
He's no Paul LaDuca. Oh, no, Jason Kendall. Paul LaDuca's Dodgers.
Yes.
Jacob Stallings. Okay.
He was a
decent.
Great.
Gold Glover.
Yes. And I think he really was one of the strong, everyday players they had. Without him, boy, they'd be in big trouble. Defensively, I think the Pirates were hurting a little bit this year.
I will talk about their bullpen. One impressive piece of Pittsburgh's year was their 8th and 9th guy. David Bedner, they got in the Joe Musgrove trade, and Chris Stratton, who was their closer. Chris Stratton made the transition from starter to reliever this year. Extremely great. I think he should be their closer next year. 7-1 out of relief, a 3.63, 68 total games. Bedner was 3-1, played a little less games, but ERA of 2.23. So I think he's a setup man. Bedner and Stratton sounds like a law firm. Fantastic out of Pittsburgh, and certainly going to be fun to watch. Watch these two guys make their wins. If Pittsburgh is in the lead at the 8th inning, these two guys will keep the game set. So that's Pittsburgh. Jacob Stallings is a good pick, though. I think if he didn't win Gold Glove, I don't know if you would have said his name.
No, I liked it when we saw him in person.
All right. NL East, Dad. Let's talk about the world champions.
Sure.
Let's talk about the Braves. Who's your pick?
Ozzie.
I think Albies was an all-star.
No, I don't think so.
You got to do some research, buddy. Ozzie Albies was an all-star. But my pick is young, thick Austin Riley.
That was my second pick.
30 home runs, 100 RBIs, and a 300 average.
Great in playoffs as well.
Borderline MVP at 24 years old.
Yeah. I mean...
Also, new dad. He's expecting his son. Just announced the other day.
Yeah. I think Riley had a great playoff as well and was one of the key pieces that got him to the World Series.
Mm-hmm. Dansby Swanson has never had an all-star, and I really think he's also underrated. Riley's just a little bit better, in my opinion, offensively. Dansby still hit 27 home runs, 80-plus RBIs, and 150 hits. Phillies, Dad. I'm running this show right now. Who's your pick for the Phillies? Is he an all-star?
Hoskins.
Is he an all-star?
No.
Rhys Hawkins?
Yes.
I don't think so. He didn't have a good year. He had some home runs, though. I bet he could be a trade candidate for the Phillies.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
2.0 WAR. Just saying. Just saying.
But at the same time, it gives him another bat in that very formidable lineup. And then in the stadium at Philadelphia, he does help offensively. And he's multi-positional.
More strikeouts than games played. Just saying that. Rhys is probably not multi-positional. If there's a DH, I think he'll stay in Philly, but...
He was a third baseman and got shifted around.
I don't think he has any range anymore.
Right, but I mean, that's where he started his career.
I don't think that's saying Gary Sheffield's multi-positional. Just because he used to play shortstop doesn't mean he's multi-positional. I would go with Ranger Suarez by a mile. Ranger Suarez, I think one of the big questions the Phillies have to address this offseason is Ranger your closer, your relief, like a long relief, or a starter. 8-5, a 1.36 ERA, and a 5.9 WAR. One of the best for any relievers in baseball. Just a fantastic player. Wheeler obviously gets the attention. Nola gets the attention. Now Gibby gets the attention. Ranger Suarez, young, dominant, could help the Phillies, especially with a few signings, turn things around and be competitive with the Braves in the offseason. And his name is Ranger, so that's awesome. Mets dad. Who are we talking about? We talking about an all-star?
Jeff McNeil.
Is he an all-star?
No.
I like Jeff. He's our second baseman. I don't think he was an all-star, but tell me more about Jeff.
I just think he's a great component for that lineup. He hits for average, and I think with the Mets lineup, you need people on base because you got the thumpers, but you need people to get on base. He's one of those guys.
Yeah, I think he didn't have the greatest average this year. Not a lot of pop, but you're right. Defensively, pretty decent. He is more when I think. You're talking multi-position. I think Jeff McNeil is a little bit multifaceted, and hopefully Robbie Cano becomes a thing of their past, especially their payroll, and he can be the starting second baseman for real, and not have that Cano thought looming over his head. Mets bullpen was fantastic to me. If I had to pick one person, I would go with Aaron Loop. But Aaron Loop, Trevor May, and Juris Familia, I think I hopefully said your first name right, phenomenal. Loop had a .95 ERA. Hey, Devin Williams, what's up? 6-0 as well. Never had a loss. 60-plus games. Phenomenal lights out bullpen. Trevor May, 7-3, 3.59 ERA. Familia was 9-4. Again, their rotation wasn't as good this year with so many injuries. And just 9-4, fantastic. Their bullpen won them almost as many games as their starters did. So that's quite impressive, just those three guys. But I would go with Aaron Loop.
You know what? He was a free agent, too. No one signed him for the longest time.
Some of these relievers just have these great years, and I don't think it's sustained. But if the Mets... People are talking about, like, oh, Lindor or Alonso, and I like both those guys. I think you rally around your bullpen. Like, that's where your talent is.
Well, they're losing their starting rotation.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I hope they...
I don't know what's left after the free agent.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
DeGrom, hopefully you come back all nice, strong, and healthy. Marlins... I picked him in my international draft, Mr. Bahama, Jazz Chisholm, only 23 years old, 20 home runs and 50 RBIs as a second baseman.
Jesus Aguilar.
I like Jesus. I wished he was traded at the deadline to the Red Sox. I don't know if is Jesus just at the cutoff of 100. I know
He's a thumper.
He was a little injured. He played 131 games. He's good. He is good to play. I like Jesus. Strikes out a lot, but he has a big, strong bat. I wish the Red Sox got Crone over Aguilar. I'll stop talking about the Red Sox, but good pick. Dylan Floro for their bullpen also deserves a whole bunch of credit. 6-6, 2.81 ERA in 60-plus games. And now I know the Marlins are thinking about trading some of those people. Hope they keep Floro. Nationals, Dad, as we round out the National League, we close with the Nationals. Josh Bell is the only one that came to mind because either they were all traded away mid-season. They were quite tough. But Josh Bell had a really good season. I think he was about 30 home runs, 90 RBIs at first. Ryan Zimmerman, and he sort of fades away, hopefully into retirement. I think he's a good plug offensively in that lineup.
I had Zimmerman.
Yeah, I don't think he had a good year at all, Dad.
Yeah,
Plus, he's a perennial all-star.
I don't know about that.
You can't say Mr. Underrated is Mr. National.
But I think without him, the team is not as good. He's a leader of that team.
But you're supposed to find underrated players. You're supposed to find people that are not... If you ask the average fan on the street, hey, name me 5 Nationals, Josh Bell shouldn't be in that name. If you ask me 5 Marlins, I don't think Dylan Floro comes to mind. 5 Mets. They're
Okay.
certainly not going to talk about that.
Okay.
You're trying to find the diamond in the rough almost.
Okay.
He did play more than 100 games, but terrible 243 average in my opinion. 14 home runs, 46 RBIs, 62 hits. His lowest amount of hits ever for a near full season of play. It's just better days are behind him. I love seeing you get the championship, Ryan. You're a great player. You time this on his past, and turn it over to an underrated player like Josh Bell to get the stardom. That's the NL, Dad. Are you hoping for better results in the AL?
I think I did okay.
I think we're naming all-stars.
Well, I think I had a few, but the never mind. I thought it was going to be positional players. So
Or pitchers. I said
okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
As long as they have 100 games played positions or 25 games pitched.
Okay.
So I usually thought of both. Like I had like one for both in most instances. Let's talk about the West. Let's talk about the runners-up. The pennant winners of the AL, the Houston Astros. Dad, who's your pick?
Kyle Tucker.
I like Kyle Tucker. 295 average, 30 home runs, 90 RBIs. A lot of doubles. I like Kyle Tucker. Pretty decent in the playoffs
He's
as
a
well.
star of the future.
Yes, I agree. I wanted to actually give light on Yuli Gurriel. Now, when you think of the Astros, you probably think of Bregman, Correa, and Altuve. Maybe you think Greinke or Verlander. Gurriel is probably that 5th or 6th name, but he's never been an All-Star. He's also 38. He was going to be a free agent. They re-signed him. Didn't think he was that old, but a 317 average, 80 RBIs, 30-plus doubles. Him and Tucker are the offensive forces in that lineup. I was just surprised that Gurriel has never had an All-Star appearance. I think that's a mistake. I think people hold it against him with cheating in Houston. He's always had similar years, so. I think Yuli Gurriel is quite underrated, especially for his age. Him and Ryan Zimmerman are the same age. He's hitting 317, 80 RBIs, 30 doubles. Zimmerman's not.
Okay.
All right. Moving into the Mariners. This was a little tougher. I do have a couple options, but Ty France, the fellow Frenchman, 291 average, 20 home runs, 60 RBIs, 170 hits, though, and a lot of doubles. And he sort of kind of moved around where he was needed, whether that was first base, whether a little bit of left field, whether that a little bit of DH. Ty France had the hits coming.
I had Kyle Lewis. I don't know if he played 100 games.
He was injured for most of the season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know he was there, and I thought he rebounded and came back towards the end of the year.
No.
Okay.
I think he probably played like 60 games. Let me find out. Kyle Lewis played 36 games.
Ouch. Okay.
Chris Flexen are other good options. He went 13-6, probably their best starter this year. And then Drew Streckenrider, which is a cool name. He was their closer, and pretty cool. I don't know if he'll be their closer next year because they did get that guy from Tampa Bay, but either he'll be set up or closer to Castilla. Oakland Athletics. I'm highlighting another older person here. It's not always sure we got Jonathan India's Rookie of the Year. Austin Riley's 24. They're going to be future stars. But it's kind of fun to see people peak in their late 30s. Yusmery Petit, speaking of peaking petite, 37, 75-plus games as a reliever. He's a free agent. Another great guy to get. 8-2 record as a reliever. Great pickup again by the Oakland Athletics. Try to re-sign him. He's due for a payday, in my opinion.
Okay. I think this is another one that I think it probably should have done a better job. Had Matt Chapman, but
Perennial
I think
all-star.
All-star.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I always
He was not an all. You know what? I'll let you have it. I think he should be a perennial all-star. He's a perennial Gold Glover, but he's only got one all-star.
Okay.
He's yours if you want him.
I'll take him.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I'm surprised. That's in a way underrated because the MLB doesn't recognize him.
Yes.
Yusmery Petit had a higher WAR, I believe, than Chapman. Angels, Dad. Who's your Angels pick?
Randy Marsh.
Brandon Marsh?
Brandon Marsh. I'm sorry. I looked at my next thing. Brandon Marsh. I'm so sorry.
Did he?
Young guy.
Yes, defensively, he's rated better than Trout. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I looked down and I thought he had.
He didn't play 100 games.
No way.
Played 70.
What?
Played 70 games.
Son of a gun.
Yep. I'll go. David Fletcher. He the Angels fans don't really love Fletcher because I guess there's so much love for Ohtani or Trout. 170 hits, doesn't strike out a whole bunch, and he's just your classic second baseman. He's 5'9", he's 180, he plays every day, he shows up to work. No Angel played more games than him all season, including Ohtani. So I really think David Fletcher is the backbone and clearly an underappreciated backbone of your organization. They're always like talking about like trading him or even non-tendering him. Easy pickup. The White Sox, who need a second baseman because of their you trade in Madrigal, go get David Fletcher. I mean, the Angels clearly don't value him that much, but great second baseman.
Now, do you split a little shortstop too? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Alex Cobb also had a turnaround season perfectly for his...
He'll cash in for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
I don't know who your pick is for that team anymore. Let's just move on to the Rangers. Coolest name. He's a new flying Hawaiian, Isaiah Kiner Falafa. True hit machine from Hawaii. Very versatile. I know they're talking about moving him to third and finding a shortstop or keeping him at shortstop, finding him a third baseman partner. Young guy. A lot of hope and promise on the Rangers. And Isaiah is one of the people you build that team around, in my opinion.
I got DJ Peters.
That name doesn't even ring a bell, which is probably good. That is the point of this. DJ Peters. Is he a pitcher or a player?
Player.
He's a rookie, okay. And he's an outfielder. And he played 52 games. Good job, Dad. Good job, Dad. He started the year with the Dodgers.
Right, but
he batted 198. Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing? He batted $198.
But
he was
according to Baseball America, he is up.
This is not Baseball America.
I know,
I would not read Baseball America for this at all because it's not about bringing rookies to light. They have enough attention. It's about bringing Yusmeir Petits and David Fletchers and Ty Francis.
But they have him as...
I don't care.
Okay.
We're going to do a draft. One of the drafts we will do is a 25 under 25 draft. So maybe that's when you can draft your DJ whatever guy. White Sox, Dad. Let's talk about former Cub Dylan Cease. What a let go. 13-7, 220 strikeouts in only 160 innings. Low-key ace of that staff. I'd be more afraid to face Cease than Giolito.
I agree. And you know what he did, Tommy John, when he came out of high school, he went under the radar, drafted in the 6th round by the Cubs. That was just a horrific trade for the Cubs. That really was one-sided. And, you know, they just got fleeced with that one.
Started the most games in all of baseball.
And you know what? That proves how strong he is and everything else. So, yeah, I mean, great pickup and great trade, along with the big outfielder that they got in that trade.
Eloy.
Yeah, and you still should have caught that ball.
Yeah, right. Personal anecdote there. The Indians, team to watch for me. I guess these are still Indians. We were talking about the last year of the Indians, future Guardians, but he was in the father and son draft. But Cal Quantrill, 7-3, 2.82 swingman. I vote they keep him as a starter. But Cal Quantrill, McKenzie's great and all that stuff, and they got Bieber. Cal Quantrill will be that like number 2, number 3 guy for you for years to come.
Bradley Zimmer.
We'll challenge as well. This feels just like Scrabble challenging. I don't think Bradley Zimmer played 100 games.
Oh, I think he did.
Played 99. I know my stuff. Other option, Dad, if you don't want to choose me and just follow in your son's footsteps, was Emmanuel Clase, their closer, Class A closer. 25 saves at only 23 years old.
Okay.
1.35 ERA, too. Okay, let's talk about the Tigers.
I got one.
Go ahead, Dad.
Robbie Grossman.
I like Grossman. I think that would be the right attention, but I thought Robbie was one of their few All-Stars.
No.
You're right, he was not. He's never been an All-Star.
Yay!
155 strikeouts, though.
Well, I mean...
It's a good pick. It's not who I think deserves it, but Robbie Grossman is going to be a Tiger for a while. So will Jaymar Candelario.
You know what his former team was, right?
Probably the Cubs.
Yes.
League leader in doubles. Third of his hits were doubles. So that's quite impressive. They had about 120 hits and a third were doubles. So he is an extra base hitter. He knows how to stretch it to second. Great third baseman. Easy pick for me. Jamar or Haymar. I'm not really positive. I apologize. I think probably Haymar with the J and the Y. Candelario.
Yes.
So
Venezuelan.
probably going to get a all-star shortstop teammate though. We'll see.
They have money this year.
Twins dad. I have been talking about second baseman a lot during this podcast. Jorge Polanco, 30 home runs, 90 RBIs, 35 doubles. Only paid $4 million.
That's it. You know what? The Twins, they had just a horrible year, but they have pieces. They are a strong minor league system and everything else. I think they're going to be just fine when they get it together. They need some pitching. They need some other things. But yeah, you're right. They have some really good pieces, and I hope they put it all together.
Is your pick Jorge as well?
No, it's Miguel Senio, but I think he probably doesn't fit the criteria. But I don't think he's valued as much as he should be.
I think he's overvalued. I think Miguel Senio should be probably moved to DH, and they should sign a certain person. I'll get to that. Only had a 1.0 WAR last year. Did play an amount of games. Only been an All-Star once, so he'd be fine. But 183 strikeouts in 135 games. 183 strikeouts, 30 home runs.
Yeah.
Batted .223. Caleb Thielbar is my second pick on that team. 6-0, under a 4.0 ERA as a reliever, lefty reliever. Salary, $650,000.
Wow. Rookie minimum.
Rookie minimum is, I think, $500,000.
Okay.
He's getting paid an arbitration amount. Royals, let's talk Arkansas. Let's talk Andrew Benatendi. 20 home runs, Gold Glover for the first time. Never been an All-Star, 70 RBIs. Someone noticed him. He was in Boston, now he's in Kansas City. He's probably going to be in Kansas City for a couple more years. Hopefully they can build a team around him. And now Michael Taylor, who's also a Gold Glover.
I had Whit Merrifield.
Oh, Whit Merrifield, I think he
played all around.
I know
games.
he did. I don't like Whit Merrifield.
Ooh, he's very popular on the trading
so
block.
That's why I don't like him.
Okay.
Because if you're loyal to one of your players, as the Royals claim to be, you don't constantly tote Will Merrifield out there and see what kind of options and offers you get.
Okay.
Some people might think you're a good businessman. I don't think that's a good business. He was also an All-Star this year, so good job, Dad. Welcome back, All-Stars. Scott Barlow would be his new closer. 2.49 ERA, 5.5-3 in the year. He had 20 saves and almost 100 strikeouts as a closer. So he's quite good and very young. Dad, my back is getting really tired from carrying this podcast. Let's talk Red Sox, Dad. What's the easiest Red Sox?
Kike Hernandez.
Absolutely right. We saw him in the playoffs dominate, probably one of the best postseason runs ever. Super utility, I don't know if his future's second or center. I think center. Just is a great player, and what a signing. I hope his contract is similar to what Chris Taylor gets, because Chris Taylor and him are very similar players.
I agree. And it was really smart the Red Sox signed for a 2-year deal. Mm-hmm. Really smart.
Yes. Yeah. If he has a repeat of his season, this season, repeat of 2021 and 2022, retain him. I mean, I know he'll be like early 30s at that point, but that's a great player. Hunter Renfro deserves attention, though.
Yeah.
30 home runs, 100-plus RBIs, only was a $3 million contract, and I think arbitration's probably going to make like 4 or 5. So hopefully you have another year like that, Hunter. Good arm, too. Mm-hmm. Strongest arm in the outfield, which I didn't expect. Thought it would be Doogie, but Renfro's a better arm. The Yankees, Dad, who's your pick for the Yankees?
Torres.
I think Glieber made it. I think we'll find out.
No, he had over 100 games.
No, I think Glieber made the All-Star team.
I don't think so. He didn't have that good a year.
Let's find out.
But he's got a real bright future and multi-positional.
Glieber was not an All-Star. He would count. Okay, Glieber Torres.
Okay.
I think his future's at second base.
I agree. And then he'll be better offensively.
Nestor Cortez is my pick. Again, another swingman guy like Cal Quantrill. I think he's a little bit better in relief. Yankee fans disagree with me. 100-plus strikeouts in that sort of swingman role and a 2.85 ERA. Again, if you go sign people in this offseason that are starters, he'll be a relief. If you start relievers, he'll probably be a starter. So, but he's great. The Yankee fans got to appreciate Nestor Cortez a little bit more. Blue Jays, I'm going to highlight their closer, Dad, Jordan Romano. 80 strikeouts, 7-1, 2.24 ERA. But my backup pick was Steven Matz, who is a free agent who will make any team better. He's been underrated with the Mets. He's been underrated with the Blue Jays, and he'll be underrated with this next team as well. I hope you get paid, Steven. You really deserve it. As always, I know your cousin.
Lourdes Gurriel.
Oh, the pineapple. Little pina. Gurriel is a great pick on that team. He does sort of blend in to the Guerreros, the Bichettes, and the Bigios. Good pick. I think he is underrated. I think that's fair.
Yay!
You're quite funny.
I'm gonna finish strong here.
Rays,
Mike Zunino.
I think Zunino was an all-star.
No. He didn't bat that well.
Pretty sure.
But defensively, he's very good.
Let's find out. Zunino was an all-star. Remember him? Dad, I didn't do anything during Home Run Derby and All-Star Game, so I memorized these rosters.
Wow.
Mike Zunino did represent the Rays in the All-Star.
Interesting. Okay.
University of Maryland boy, Brandon Lowe. 35 home runs, 90 RBIs. Shout out Maryland. Work on your strikeouts. That's the only thing, Brendan. But you still are underpaid $2.5 million for hitting that many home runs. Seriously, 4 or 5 times that you should be making in the teens per year. And won't be a Ray for long.
And I think he's a team leader.
Yeah. I do like Joey Wendell, but Brendan Lowe is a better
And they have a couple
player.
Lows in that team.
I think you're right. I think he's a reliever.
Yeah.
Dad, to round it out, Orioles.
Ryan Mountcastle.
Yes! Should have won Rookie of the Year, in my opinion.
Yes.
30 home runs, 90 RBIs. He kind of split time and left, first base and DH. I think we'll talk about the Orioles in the offseason. Do you think he's more first base or DH?
He is first base probably. He's young enough. They're going to try to get him a position. But I saw him in Bowie numerous times. He came up as a shortstop, didn't do well. Then he went to third base, didn't do well. They even threw him in the outfield, didn't do well. I think he's stuck between first base and DH. I think they're going to give him first base so Trey can do some other stuff. Trey's kind of in the same boat. They probably need them both. But the interesting talk of Baltimore is, will they trade this offseason to get some young players for him and all that stuff, and then Ryan has a position.
Yes.
So that's what I'm thinking. But Ryan, he has always been able to hit. He just doesn't feel well.
Yes, and obviously Cedric was the All-Star, so you couldn't show attention on there. I'm glad you chose Mountcastle. Just to recap proper picks here. Will Smith for the Dodgers, Giants, Tyler Rogers, Padres, Joe Musgrove, Rocky, CJ Crone, Diamondbacks, David Peralta, Brewers, I went with Aviso Garcia, Cardinals, Tommy Edmond, Reds, Jonathan India, Cubs, Ian Happ, Pirates, both of the law firm of Stratton and Bedner, East, we go in Braves, Riley, Young, Thick, Austin Riley, Phillies, Ranger Suarez, Mets, any of their bullpen guys, but I went with Aaron Loop. Marlins, Bahamanian, Jazz Chisholm, Nationals, Josh Bell, Astros, Yuli Gurriel. You went with his brother for the Blue Jays. Mariners, Ty France. Athletics, Petite. Angels, David Fletcher. Rangers, the new flying Hawaiian. I'm flying, I'm on fire. White Sox, Dylan Cease. Put out the fire, let it cease. Indians, Cal Quantrill. Tigers, Jaymar Candelario. Twins, Jorge Polanco. Royals, Andrew Benatendi, Mr. Razorback. Red Sox, Kike Hernandez. Yankees, Nestor Cortez. Blue Jays, Jordan Romano. Rays, Brendan Lowe. And Orioles, Ryan Mountcastle.
Very good. Do you think the guy for the Royals will get traded, or think he'll stay?
I actually have big plans for the Royals to make a push for the Central.
Okay. They're going to have to start working fast because the Tigers right now have sights on the title.
I think I have... If the Royals signed who I want them to sign, as we'll go over the free agent predictions in a few podcasts from here, every single team in the Central is competitive. Every single team. There isn't a bad team. I think the White Sox are still... We'll talk about this. The White Sox are still probably the best team. But 4 teams watched a weak Central, and then the White Sox did not perform well against the Astros, in my opinion. And you got 4 teams that are kind of hungry.
Yeah. And Cleveland has a great farm system.
Yeah. I mean, the Tigers in an awful year were borderline 500. You get a couple of pieces, you're over that easily. I think they're over it now with Eduardo Rodriguez.
Yeah.
The Royals are like...
Well, look at Atlanta. Atlanta took it all, and they were 6 games above 500.
Right. And if you're a Central team, you're not gonna have another team coming out of here. You look at the East, the Rays, the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Blue Jays. You look at maybe the West with the Mariners on the rise. I mean, the Mariners and Blue Jays were the 2 teams. There's going to be 1 team coming out the Central next year, so you got to be on top. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, great.
But that was one of our longest podcasts this year, but thanks for watching. Dad, I mean, you really told us who the All-Star team was. I appreciate that. Fans at home really talked, and underrated, clearly All-Stars. Well, we did talk about some Rookies of the Year, some Gold Glovers, probably some future All-Stars. Hopefully that's the point here. Watch these guys, collect their cards, get their autographs. I really think half or more of my list will blow up next year and really be difference makers on their teams, and not just underrated, but be the guy.
I agree. There's some really good, and then the farm systems are really producing great players. Look at the Braves and the Astros. They're really made by the farm system. So again, go to minor league baseball because that's the future of the major leagues. And next spring, minor league baseball might be your choice of baseball for a little bit. So keep that in mind.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I got to go see a chiropractor at my back. But again, give us a like on Facebook. We're on Instagram now and Twitter, at Pastime Podcast _ on both. And Facebook is the Father and Son Pastime Podcast. Subscribe, like, and again, if you want to send links to Baseball Reference to my dad, feel free to send him some links. I got to make fun of you now, Dad.
I know.
You make fun of me when I lose these drafts. But thanks for watching, guys. We're a fun family podcast. This is all in good fun, I promise. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.